The vocabulary word for this extra section is actually the topic of this extra section, composite figures. And composite figures are just figures that are made up of more than one shape put together. So squares and triangles and rectangles and other two-dimensional figures squished together to make these odd-looking shapes. So we're going to have to go through each shape and try to find out what shapes make it up. The thing about composite figures is that everyone can see them differently. So I might see a square plus a triangle, and someone else might see a parallelogram and a triangle, or a trapezoid and a square. And it is really just based on what you see and how you cut up the shape. So a lot of them have multiple different ways they can be solved. So if I look at this purple figure here, I could definitely see at least two different ways to do it. I could see if I cut it straight across here, I now have a rectangle and a trapezoid. Or I could extend these lines down here, and now I have a rectangle and two triangles. I'm going to go with less shapes, just because I think it's easier to only have to do area formulas twice, but if you would prefer to do triangles over trapezoids, I could see why the other way might be easier for you. So if I look at this rectangle, I know for the area of a rectangle I need the length, which in this case is 2, 4, 6. And I will also need the width, which in this case is 4. And so I can now find the area at length times width. 6 times 4 gives me 24. So now, if I look at my trapezoid, I know I need height and 2 bases. So one of my bases up here is going to be 4. It's where it meets up with the rectangle. My other base is this long one down here. And that is 8. And my height in between is 2. So 1/2 times 2 times 4 plus 8. Half of 2 times 12 gives me 12. So now I take my two areas and put them together. 24 plus 12 gives me 36 units squared. So again, if I look at this fairway, I see different ways we can split it. If I split it on a diagonal, I have a parallelogram and a trapezoid. Or I can split it going straight up here and have a rectangle and a triangle. Since we did the trapezoid last time, let's do the rectangle and the triangle this time. So I've got a lot of numbers here, and I need to figure out which ones are the ones I need. So if this is my rectangle, I know I need length times, length times width. My long side right here, I'm going to focus on this left because this one has a lot of numbers going on over here, and I'm just going to look at this, is 70. And I can see on the short side, it actually is at the top and the bottom. It says it's 40. So 70 times 40 gives me 2,800. All right, if I look at my triangle here, I know I need a base and a height. I see a base here of 40. Now, this is not my height because this does not meet at a right angle. This is my height, but there's no measurement. So what I need to look at is this whole length here is 70, and this part of it is 40. So I have to figure out how much more would I need to add to 40 to make 70, and that would give me that length. So 70 minus 40 would give me 30. So this would be 30. So half of 40 times 30 is 600. Take my two areas and I'm going to put them together to get 3,400 yards squared. Now if I look at this third example, this is a hexagon, which I don't know how to find the area of, but if I go like this, now it's two trapezoids. So I'm going to find the area of the two trapezoids. The nice thing is they're identical. So if I find the area of one trapezoid, I can then multiply it by 2 or add it to itself to make that. So one base up here is 3. This base down here is 5. And my height is 2. So 1/2 times 2 times 3 plus 5. And that gives me 10. And that's just one of the trapezoids, so since there are 2 of them, nope, no x's. It's hard to get rid of, isn't it? 2 times 10 is 20 units squared. So I want you guys to pause the video, work out these 2 problems, and then check back in to see if you get the right answer. Right, so in this first example, I split it into a rectangle and a triangle. You definitely could have split it into a rectangle and a trapezoid. Either way, you should get 15 units squared no matter what way you split it. For the swimming pool, I decided to cut it into a rectangle and a triangle mostly because of where they separated the different lengths. They said from here to here was 18 and from here to here was 3. So I used that as my cutting line because that was giving me the height of my triangle. So I should get 136.5 feet squared.